fits. Oh, I'm going to use the microphone. Oh. I didn't see you there. In fact, I don't think I've seen you in a few months, so I can understand your frustration. But wouldn't you like to know where I was? So yeah, I was in Rome. If that montage didn't tell you that, which I think that it should have. But before we get into that, we have to start at the beginning. But before we even begin with that, this video is inspired by CIEE. CIEE, or the Council on International Educational Exchange, is a non-profit study abroad and intercultural exchange organization that encourages high school students or college students to go to other countries to learn about new cultures or help communities in need. As a global ambassador, fancy title for unpaid marketer, it is my duty to go door to door to tell you about this wonderful opportunity. If you use my referral code, which will be down in the description and in the pinned comment, you get $200 off your adventure. That is amazing. How generous of them, right? But while this may have been a tiny promotional segment, I can assure you I'm not done praising this program. So, without further ado, let's get back to the story. If the name of the channel didn't ring any bells for you, or any of the previous names that have come before it, I love mythology. Greek, Norse, Roman, not Egyptian, don't tell them. So of course the foreign language that I take in class reflects that, right? Being a Latin student. To summarize, there was this old Italian teacher in my school a few years back, whose students created an Italian study abroad scholarship in his honor. But there is no Italian anymore, so the Latin students get the chance of applying for this scholarship. I'll admit though, I was hesitant at first, I'm not gonna lie about that. But hesitant in this context means that I was heavily procrastinating. I didn't want to do this at all, or like I had no motivation to do it. But, you know what gives you motivation? A trip to the job fair. Boy, oh boy, did that put some fire in my engines. Thank you, Father, for that. I did not want to get a job. So I sat down, wrote my 3 essays, no big deal. I got the scholarship. Confetti all around, yay, party, clapping, children screaming in the background. But that was the easy part. Now I had to find a study abroad program, and I had searched everywhere. And I mean, for like 5 minutes, everywhere, all around the internet. And I came to CIEE on, I think, like the 6th minute. I just searched up Global Study Abroad Summer Programs, and it popped up. CIEE had everything. The location, the food, the lessons, the college credit, the potential seal of biliteracy. It was just perfect. Give or take a few details, but we'll get back to those. I just had to write 3 more essays, baby numbers, and my 4 weeks in Rome was set in stone. But then they betrayed me. Then CIEE did something so cruel. I can never forgive them. I applied for the influencer program, and they denied me. But it's fine. It's fine. No, I hold no animosity towards them. You know, a global ambassador. Now, I'm on the payroll. Not really. They don't pay me in anything. It's fine. I genuinely did not want to post daily short form content. That is not my MO. If you know what I post. But I'll admit, I wanted a bit of cat and mouse on that part. I wanted them to be like, oh, but we need you. We need you with your 480, thank you by the way, subscribers. We need you to come work for us. And I'm like, no, I don't do TikToks. Unfortunately, my greatness cannot be contained in a 30-second clip. But no, they didn't do that, which is unfortunate, but understand. Anyway, a few weeks later, after I've been accepted, I get an email. Homestays, in which study abroad students stay at the homes of the Romans, were canceled. As I will later learn, Rome gets pretty hot during the summer, and a lot of families go on vacation. A lot of host families that would have held students go on vacation. So it was pretty sad news. But not for me! Our family threw a party, we were so happy. I think that with host families, sure, you're more connected to like the culture, sure. But in a hotel, you're more connected to the students, the people you're going to be spending your days with. I feel like that's more important. It's also, I'm not, like, my opinion doesn't mean anything towards CIEE. They'll still do homestays, but like, I feel like the hotel gave us something that you couldn't have gotten in a homestay. We became more connected with the people around us. And whether or not that meant we became less connected with Rome itself, I don't know. So the days went by, and it was finally my time to leave the nest. My mom cried, my dad laughed at her for crying, and I wobbled my way through TSA alone, scared and afraid, which are both the same word, and eventually got to my flight. On my way there, I ran into other CIEE students. Same flight. Admittedly, I do not remember you. I do not remember who you were, but you were all very welcoming, and I thank you for that. Oh, and a little note I forgot to mention, and you gotta keep this tucked away because it'll influence literally the entire story. I don't know if it's sports season or, I don't know, lack of want, but out of the 56 students that applied for my little program, 6 of them, including myself, were boys. I have nothing to say about it right now. Keep it in your mind. It's going to be important for literally the entire story. So I hopped on the plane, found my seat, and thus started my journey. I arrived in Rome, went through security, grabbed my bags, and followed others to the meeting site. But a detail to clarify on, I only brought like 1 bag. 2 if you count my backpack, I don't. But upon getting to the meeting site, I look around at all of my fellow students and see that they all brought like 2-3 bags, and they're not small bags, they're fallout shelter bags. I thought I had severely underpacked. I started panicking like crazy. I was like, did I forget that we were staying 6 weeks? What is happening? Is there no laundry day? It's shoes. All the girls brought all the shoes. I had 1 pair of sneakers, 1 pair of fancier sneakers, and 1 pair of sandals. And that was it. All the people I knew had like 5 pairs of shoes and intended to buy 5 to 10 more pairs. Moving on, we all hopped on the buses and started making our way towards the city center and thus our hotel. Upon arrival, we went to a quick orientation, we got our key cards, and then we went up to our rooms. It was then that I realized that our hotel did not mirror my definition of a hotel. The walls, if you can classify them as walls, were paper thin, if the paper's depth had been cut in half. The room for 2 barely fit 2 child-sized beds, and my feet were hanging off the side. And in the entire room, there was not 2, not 3, not 4, but 1 outlet, whose voltage was so low, none of my adapters worked. Oh, but it gets better, trust me. My roommate, Ari, who is the nicest person I think I've ever met in my entire life, and I took turns showering. And because we were so relaxed, and we were in turn sleeping on beds and like not paying attention, when I got out of the shower, second person, I stepped down and I just heard, that probably wasn't a good sound effect, but like, you get the point. My sock just hit like a puddle of water. Turns out our entire room had flooded because like the pipes weren't on correctly or something like that. I don't know. I don't think I will ever know because I don't think they ever figured it out. But needless to say, all of Ari's clothes were soaked. We threw down towels. It was leaking out into the hallway. It was not very fun. My parents texted not an hour after asking, how was arriving? How are you doing? How's your roommate? And I told them that like, oh, he's nice. My shower flooded, you know, it's good times. So they asked, good first day? And I said, yep, it's gonna be great. The first real day went by pretty smoothly. I got up, made breakfast in the hotel buffet area, 3 cantaloupe slices, 2 yogurts, and a cup of juice, and met with my group. My program leader, Mike, very cool, very patient. I thank him for that. And he always tried to squeeze all the fun out of every given day. My legs gained some serious definition from all the walking we did. It hurt in the moment, but it paid off. But I'm getting ahead of myself. He gave all of us, about 12 students, a bus pass each, right? Get around public transit. Despite its inefficiency, Rome basically runs on public transit. They can't build through the Colosseum or ruins or stuff like that, but somehow they rely on it for their everyday. First thing about Rome, it gets hot. Very, very, very hot. Restaurants have misters running all day keeping customers cool. There are fountains all over the city, so it's in your best interest to, bring a bottle of water. You're gonna need it. The hottest day was 108 degrees when I was there. Granted, that's hot for Rome, even for Rome, but it was never far off from that. If I didn't have a genetic advantage keeping myself safe from the sun, I would have gone through like 3 bottles of sunscreen per hour. That's an exaggeration, but you get what I mean. Second little tidbit, Rome is packed to the brim with people. Buses are overflowing, sidewalks spill out onto the streets, and the Romans, unlike America, have no concept of personal space. Not in a bad way, but it can be difficult at times, just bumping into people. But fact number 3, which is most important, Rome is beautiful. I travel a lot, and I have never seen a nicer city. Maybe I just have a special appreciation for the history, which makes me a bit biased, obviously as a Latin student, but nonetheless, it is breathtaking. I posted on Instagram, Legally Hudson, almost every day, never running out of new subjects to capture. It was so nice. But the city wasn't the only thing I signed up for. In the classroom, I had Professor Bruno, which was his actual name, who was the best teacher I have ever had. With respect, major respect to all other teachers I have ever had, he was amazing. He was just so funny, and he said the darndest things, which I cannot repeat. You had to be there. In class, we followed a curriculum and learned Italian through the study of Roman culture, which was very cool. Side note, there were turtles in the CIEE Center that were very, very nice. They did not mind being picked up, and we were happy to oblige. The first few days went by pretty quickly. We toured the Jewish ghetto, we visited the Keats and Shelley house, ate delicious food, etc. But on July 12th, something happened that would change the course of this adventure forever. Something I call the bus incident. It was simple, really. We were going to get off the bus from class and go to dinner. A task most normal people would have no difficulty with. As those who know me have learned, I do not fit into the description of normal. So as everyone got off the bus, they realized they were missing one. Even though no one really knew each other by then, it's pretty hard to miss the only boy out of 12 students. So as the bus was taking off, one of the girls, Riley, looked at me, saw me through the window, tried to wave at me to get off, and my brain did that quirky little thing it does, where it went, oh, look, that's my group out there. That's nice. That's my group out there. And just, I came to consciousness. I texted Mike that I would run back next stop, and that's where you'd think that it would be over. But that's not where my plan stopped. That's right. The bus incident, while mainly accidental, was part of a much larger scheme I had in mind. As you recall, I'm sure, almost all of the students in the program, as well as all of the students in my group, with the exception of Mike, were girls. And if there's anything worse, for me, than overcoming social anxiety, it's overcoming the gender barrier with social anxiety, right? So I knew before I even got on the plane that one of 3 things had to happen. 1, I had to be funny. Look, 480 of you obviously think that I'm entertaining enough to subscribe, and I appreciate that. However, I do not perform well under pressure or live. There was little likelihood of that ever being a viable option. 2, I had to be good looking enough for them to want to talk to me, which, okay. I wrote the script a while, it's not scripted. I wrote my thinking a while ago. I don't know why I put this on the list. Seems like an option that would not be possible ever. I look completely unapproachable. With my physical appearance, I may as well be Slenderman with scoliosis. My hair also gives off the impression that I'm going for the world record for most forks stuck into electrical outlets, so generally speaking, not the ideal male form. But my grandma says I'm handsome, so I don't care what they think. But method number 3, my personal favorite, I had to be the source of their jokes. As I said before, I am not textbook definition normal. I have about as much confidence in my abilities as a newborn giraffe, and about as much situational awareness as a newborn panda. I am always bound to do things that are out of the ordinary and therefore hilarious to others, right? All I needed was a catalyst, and the bus incident was the perfect opening. Needless to say, my plan backfires hard. Instead of being that guy that got lost on the bus that one time, which would have been a fine descriptor for me to have, instead, my group noticed that I get lost everywhere. Everywhere. Which will be expanded upon later. But until then, I had my chance. I took it, and it took about 5 days to meet everyone fully. As an unintended side effect of my superior fashion sense, people also wanted me around for my glasses. If you will see in pictures, I'm wearing reflective sunglasses that are actually pretty cool. But said sunglasses were better than many of the girls' pocket mirrors, so I was often told to look this way as they fixed their hair in my glasses. This has not changed, and I have been asked to do so 4 extra times since being back in the States, one of which being my mother. But speaking of my fellow students, let's meet them, shall we? To start, we have Danna. She had some jokes that were really funny and also really can't be repeated. She also always tells it how it is. Then there's Jada, who's very nice. Hannia, who always wore flowy dresses, which I'm sure must have been very hot. But that's the price you have to pay for fashion. Then we got Yelena, a very knowledgeable Latin student like myself. There's Elizabeth, who added a bit of tamer humor to the party. Kaelana, who's very caring and pleasant to everyone. MJ, the group's influencer, who actually was accepted by the CIEE influencer program. No hate though, no hate though. Not towards her, anyway. As well as Emma, who practically acted as MJ's sister abroad and connected everyone. There was Claire, who had bottomless pockets full of your mom and that's what she said jokes. Nica, who was second tallest under myself, of course, and yet somehow the youngest. And there was Riley, who was most like myself. Funny, smart, nice, fan of One Piece, all things preceding could probably fall under that. Coming from a family that doesn't watch anything that wasn't made in America. It was a relief to find someone who had similar interests. I mostly hung out with the last 7, but we weren't like a clique or anything. Our humor was just compatible in a way that made us want to spend as much time together as humanly possible. But the whole group got along very well. On day 5, we visited the Colosseum. It was awesome. The immensity of this piece of Roman architecture is not fully grasped until you are in the Colosseum. You see the Hypogeum, where the gladiators rose from underneath to fight in battles. You learn about how they flooded the Colosseum for naval reenactments, and just feel the weight of history all around you. You also get to take pictures of a seagull, who will follow you throughout your trip without you knowing. In the very gruesome academic portion of the program, we were learning how to sing and dance to an Italian summer song. And I won't say that my work in Frozen helped me in this endeavor, because that would be silly, but my voice isn't the only one heard merely because it's deeper. I'll just say that. But it resulted in this video. I was going to edit it on my own, but Professor Bruno spent so much time putting it together himself, I feel like it would be doing a disservice to change it in any way. So here it is.
Siamo a Roma, siamo in paradiso.
Le telefonate, ora ascoltare. Dove ti suppone, sono tutto come. E mi canto tutto che tu ti fa. La disco paradise. I'm gonna be La disco paradise.
was a fun time. And speaking of fun times, day 6 was the day we went to the shopping mall, Porta di Roma. It was there where I was looking for a One Piece volume to take home, as Gear 5 would release the day that I got home, so I had to get one in the original Italian, and Riley was there with me. Never would have known we shared that interest otherwise, but unfortunately, the shopping mall was the wrong place to bring me. Circling back, my group was all girls, which means I got to visit all shops, including, but not limited to, Zara, H&M, Brandy Melville, and Foot Locker. It was when they were walking into Victoria's Secret where I kind of hit my point where I was like, all right, I'm gonna sit this one out. I'm gonna just literally sit over here out of this one. You guys have fun in there, right? But it wasn't all bad, not in the slightest. At the end of the day, we went to the movie theater and watched the Mission Impossible movie with Italian subtitles. All things considered, not a bad day. The next few days, we had some very fun activities planned, like visiting the Villa d'Este in Tivoli, where me and some other girls wearing blue had a little photo shoot. It was then that I realized I had a real knack for photography. Take that, CIEE influencer board. Side note, MJ, who was on the board, said that the people were so sad that no boys had joined the influencers. How does it feel? How do you go to sleep at night? But it's fine, it's fine. No, it's fine. We're chill. I'm an ambassador. I'm a global ambassador. It's a title that I'm thankful to have. And there is no water under the bridge that you can see. Anyway, we went to Italy, which you could probably tell from my frame was not my type of trip. But it was there where my original plan had started to snowball, as mentioned previously. We were supposed to meet in the lobby of Italy at a specific time. 10 minutes before I start walking there and looking around, I notice that the store is kind of devoid of the children that I had been hanging around with for like the past 2 weeks. I get to the meeting point and there was no one there. I start panicking, thinking I got lost again. So I get to a higher vantage point to see better. Bird's eye view type stuff, you know, like you would do. And when I got to the top, one of the girls texted me that they were all the way down at the coffee shop on the other side of Italy. Thinking it was somehow faster than the elevator, I opted for the stairs. Keep in mind, I'm 4 floors up. It was then that I saw the whole group round a corner and see me frantically running down the stairs, and they started laughing at me. Unknowingly, I had gotten lost whilst trying not to get lost. I still argue that they left me, but majority rules otherwise in this case. But this was the event that melted that block of ice between me and the group. Previously, I'd been partying with other people on the rooftop with my Bluetooth speaker and home-brought card games. After Italy, me and my music were invited to party in individual rooms with the little group that I had become a part of. And you may be thinking to yourself, wow, a party all night with a bunch of girls? That must have been great. Must be ignorance. I pray never know the truth. I have heard things that have cursed my once pure mind for all time after. I have seen things that burn behind my eyes with the fire of 1,000 suns, and things have happened that will live forever with me, known only by those in the room and no one else for the sake of themselves. Overall, fun times. We mostly played Uno, Exploding Kittens, and Riley taught us how to play BS. When asked, like, oh, is there anything you wish you brought? I know you brought the speaker, I bet you brought Uno, you brought Exploding Kittens, like, is there any game that you wish that you brought to keep yourselves company? And I'm like, no, we couldn't really even think of anything in the moment where we were like, oh, I wish we had this game, or this game would make this night so much more fun. Like, I would have loved to play this game. But anyway, it was nice. For the next few days, we learned how to make authentic pizza margherita, visited the modern art gallery, hung around Campo dei Fiori, and visited the Villa Borghese Gardens. I probably butchered that. But while these trips weren't as extravagant as the Colosseum, we had some delicious food. We learned how to make gelato, visited Mr. 100 Tiramisu, my personal favorite is the number 27, had gnocchi for the first time, and the meal that gave me the most happiness, crepes galettes. I have never had better crepes in my life. I honestly don't think I ever will. In class, we learned to sing more Italian songs. I was always the low note, of course, and created a slideshow fully in Italian about things like who we are, what we like about Rome, what we would want to buy, etc. While having fun, I was also learning Italian, which I mean is what I came for, but it was a minor thing. But the fact that I could still speak some, the instruction couldn't have been that bad. We climbed to the top of the Tomb of the Unknown Soldier, where we saw the seagull again. He must have gotten some good feedback from his friends on his pictures at the Colosseum and wanted more. In case feeding a wild seagull is an act worthy of getting us in trouble, we did not feed this seagull, and the video currently playing is some other group with an unrelated seagull. We visited the Pantheon, marveling at its architecture. Throughout the trip, we also visited many churches. In our orientation, we were told that if we ever got lost and texted our PLs that we were near a church, they would know that we were still in Rome. Other than that, you would not be able to pinpoint anyone's location. We took a tour of Castel Sant'Angelo with beautiful views and interior design. The Vatican, which was basically a whole day, was very pretty. The ceilings and statues were well made, and the sheer size of works like the Sistine Chapel ceiling was impressive, to say the least. I couldn't take a picture of it because apparently it's copyrighted. Who knew? And with that, it's safe to say that we exhausted most of the tourist locations, not even mentioning places like the Trevi Fountain, Spanish Steps, or the Roman Forum. Towards the end of the trip, we relaxed a bit more, I will admit. We got to the hotel earlier so we could party more. We had a horror movie night, which was really fun. For the sake of CIEE, I do not encourage staying up past curfew, as it ruins the Roman experience for those trying to sleep. We did not go past curfew this night. On another note, Run Rabbit Run is an okay horror movie. I mean, I scare easily, and this wasn't that bad. I guess I was more scared of what could have been, you know, like jump scares, but it never happened. I also don't know what we expected for a movie with 2.4 stars. Wow, I did not look that up before we watched it. Makes sense. Moving on, time flew by fast the last 2 weeks. We tried to make the most out of it, going to a water park, Cinecittà World, where we rode roller coasters and swam around. We went bowling, where I would have won had MJ not brought her absolute A game that day, which, you know, bumpers. You know. And our last few days were spent traveling. First, going to the beach, and then Pompeii. I am not usually a beach person, but the beach was very nice. It was one of the last times to have fun together, and have fun we did. For the first time in who knows how long, I laughed out loud. That doesn't sound like a lot. I am devoid of happiness. Pompeii was interesting. We ate at a very nice pizzeria with some of the best pizza I've had in Italy. But the ruins themselves were just that, really. They were ruins. Usually I get more out of old piles of rock, but it wasn't doing it for me aesthetically. I did enjoy all of the symbols of fertility plastered around Pompeii. To be honest, I think the people of Pompeii just wanted an excuse to draw genitals all over their city. Can't blame them, but as the days started to end, thus did the trip. Our last few days busing back to the airport were filled with conflicting feelings from all. Sure, we were excited to get back to our homes, but in a sense, this had become our home. The people around us had become our family, even if people were not in my group. Like Alvaro or Cristina, I had grown so connected to them. It was tough to say goodbye, and as we boarded our respective flights, tears were shed. Not by me though, as I am a man who does not have emotions. Of course, when I was out of eye and earshot, I bawled like a baby, but don't tell them that. They won't get this far in the video. Don't tell them that. I better not see anyone telling them that. This might have been the last time we saw each other, but preparing for this a week in advance, we made a promise, in a Starbucks of all places, that in a year's time, we would travel to one of our houses and party again, rekindling our joy for one another's company. This trip was all possible through CIEE, as well as its staff. On our last day, Professor Bruno made his own tiramisu after learning about the state of our hotel food, which was... Anyway, we took pictures with him and the turtles and promised to invite him to our weddings at his request. I could not have asked for better companions during this trip. If I planned this right, which I know that I have, this video will be going out on September 29th, my birthday. This is because I could not have gone on this trip without the support from my family. Not that they'll make it this far in the video to see. If they have my attention span, they wouldn't have gone 2 minutes. Nevertheless, I thank all of them. And most of all, I thank you for listening. I couldn't really capture the magic of this trip in this video, and I don't think I ever could. You had to be there. And you could be if you signed up for CIEE. No, I'm not gonna give you the ad read. This is the end. See you later. Use my referral code.
I'm gonna be home tomorrow. Not tomorrow. I'm leaving tomorrow. 6 a.m. I think. For my flight that's at 11. There they all are. Gonna miss them.